Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite makes the process of becoming a published, best-selling author as simple as sipping your morning cup of coffee. You can learn more about Authors Unite at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Simon Bogdanowicz with us. He is the co-founder of BlockTeam Ventures, a strategic consulting and investment firm focused on blockchain technology. And BlockTeam's advisory clients have collectively raised over $400 million. So welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Grateful to have you here. We'll dive right into the first one, Simon. The first one I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Yeah, great question. So the best story from my life is really, I think, the way I've been able to, kind of create the life I always wanted around me and kind of be this kind of a reality creator in different means. And what I mean by that is I'm actually an immigrant from Poland. So I'm a first generation here in the United States. I moved from Poland to Michigan. And then from there, I lived in New York and then now in Los Angeles. But along the way, I've done so many different things. I feel like I live kind of like a cat, live 9 lives. What I mean by that is professionally, I've been on Wall Street. I worked on multi-billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions. I worked for Silicon Valley companies and big technology companies in sales and partnerships, and developed more softer skills versus the hard finance skills of financial modeling and whatnot. And I also ran an international marketing agency, all before jumping into the wonderful world of blockchain. And I think the underlying lesson there is, everyone's always trying to find their path and like what makes them happy, what makes them feel, successful, what makes them feel fulfilled. And I've always enjoyed my journey along the way. I've learned valuable lessons of what I liked, what I didn't like, and I've always kept elevating myself to where I am today. And it's funny enough that I actually kept in the back of my mind ever since undergrad at University of Michigan that I've always found, the world of venture capital fascinating, but I know it's hard to penetrate. I didn't know a great route to it. I didn't have any family connections being a first-time immigrant. But now, just through my past of finance, big technology, international marketing, and coming into the nascent space of blockchain and becoming a real expert in this space, working very fast, very deep, but on a global basis, I'm finally able to fulfill that opportunity of working in venture capital, which I'm very grateful of. And so always learning your lesson on the way, being able to pivot, but always knowing that it's you're growing by stepping out of your comfort zone, whether that's moving to a new location or switching jobs or switching career paths entirely. And as long as you feel it's the right place you should be, then just go for it.
Yes, man, dude, and that is about 9 lives right there, man. So I agree, and I'm excited for your answer on this next one. So, what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Yeah, well, that's a really great question, and it's as you may know, it's blockchain and the digital asset or cryptocurrency point of blockchain, it's a 24/7 market. And so obviously you can't stay up all hours of night monitoring if you own Bitcoin, you own Ethereum, whatnot. And it's also a very new market. You think of it like the internet 1994 again, where we're just coming online and your neighbor down the street's getting the first AOL CD to load up and check your mail, and the family in that household can't use the internet or can't use the phone line because it's tied up to internet. It's almost it's around that level of understanding of regulation, everything else. So for anyone that's interested in blockchain and investing, I really think of this space on a long-term perspective. I think the underlying technology, and my team does collectively, that it's going to be really revolutionary for how we do business around the world, how we transact, how we help those that don't have identity, let's say somewhere in Uganda, Africa, or those that are unbanked and don't have any means to have a debit card or a bank like that. It's going to open up that access to the world through a mere internet connection. The premise of underlying blockchain technology, what it does from a we don't have to get into specifics, but what it does, what it allows the people to do. So my biggest piece of advice would be like, hey, educate yourself on this space. If you're looking to invest, you're very keen to invest, like just make sure like you do your homework and research before you just kind of put a lot of money in to anything that you're doing. And just just be honest and careful, and I'll always know that it's a very new space. So there are a lot of people like in any new space that are looking out there to make a quick buck or have or do something fraudulent. So I'll always be careful. Do your research and think through your choices before kind of putting like your nest egg into just one bet, thinking that everyone's getting rich in the space, because quite frankly they're not. There's I think at this point, this time of year where it's more so, we'd say it's been the down market. More people are getting poorer than richer, unfortunately. But everything has its peaks and valleys, and this is just one of the valleys.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I was lucky to get in a few years ago, but I know some people that got in like when Bitcoin was up close to like 20 grand. And
Oh no.
yeah, man, it's just tough. And like you're saying, it's peaks and valleys. And who knows, like Bitcoin could definitely in a few years or sooner, I have no clue, go above 20 grand. But I definitely don't think you should put all your money in like Bitcoin, like you gotta, but who knows? So the next one I have for you is, what's your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Yep. My best piece of overall business advice is to never burn any bridges, like across the board. And I say that because you never know when you're going to be meeting someone or some company again in a future life. Like as myself, I've been through 3 industries, or I said almost onto my 4th industry, to a point now. And you never know when you're going to overlap with people again, where you're going to overlap with companies where at once maybe someone was a client of yours. Now you have a new position, or they have a new position, and maybe you want to partner with that company. It's not kind of a client relationship. And so always keep your network fresh. Feel free to always open up new doors. I don't think there's ever a bad thing in opening up new connections. But however, like when you open new connections and start building relationships, it's every relationship of any kind has give and get. Just make sure that for the ones that you really cherish, that you're giving without an expectation of wanting to get something from there. So down the line when things comes to reciprocation happens, and everything will flow and happen naturally. So so a couple lessons in there, I guess.
Yeah. And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, for my younger self, it's great. I feel like there's so many pieces of advice I can give my younger self. I guess the biggest piece of advice is like it's always kind of trust in your gut and trust in yourself, and don't have a fear of failure. I think everyone has a fear of failure to a degree, and more often than not, unfortunately, that keeps you from kind of taking yourself to the next level and just really kind of fulfilling your purpose and dream. So I would, I'd always, and I feel like that fear of failure, if it doesn't get you there, that's very unfortunate. But it does cost people a lot of time and energy, and oftentimes money, and just overcoming that. So be quicker to fight through failure. Learn from your mistakes quickly, but ingrain the lessons so you have them from a lifetime, no matter where you are. So that would be my advice.
And kind of going a little bit down a different path, but in your opinion, what's the key to happiness?
Yeah, the key to happiness, I think, is really in the eye of the beholder. So it's really dependent on, what you envision your life to be, and like your expectation. If your expectation meets your reality, then you're happy, right? And it's usually there's an equation there where expectations don't meet the reality, where people feel you're lonely or unhappy or unsuccessful. So I think always checking yourself, taking the time to smell the roses, and really realize like, hey, if you're not at that pinnacle of where you want to be, are you on the way? Are you doing the right things? Are you not being sidetracked by other things, other people? Shiny object syndrome is rampant for any entrepreneur, I'd say, or at least everyone that I've met. And just enjoy the journey. Once you enjoy the journey, know that you're on your way to creating, your reality and fulfilling your own personal purpose, which no one else can have. Then you should feel happy.
Yeah, man. Shiny object syndrome is the real deal, man. That's tough, especially when you first start out. And then I think it's even tough too when you realize all the opportunity out there. It's wild.
100%.
Got to focus. The next one I have for you, Simon, is what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Yeah, I've read this book 3 times now, and I still go back to it for little lessons that I marked in the book. And the book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Very famous Brazilian author, international bestseller. And the biggest lessons that I took from the book, really, or the biggest lesson is really like to the theme of what I'm speaking about today, is like just always have a pursuit of happiness, as we know that movie. But like always have a pursuit of happiness in your mind, and feel that that energy and that purpose really drive your not only your day-to-day actions, but realize your day-to-day and the little things and the small habits lead into bigger habits, and bigger accomplishments lead into year-long lifelong journeys. And so along the way, just be able to understand that everything is connected. As people, we're all connected, and the events, the choices you make are all connected for a greater the greater lifetime that you're going to be leading. So just try to always like kind of recheck, rebalance yourself, and continue to put yourself to fulfill that need, and then you'll feel accomplished, you'll feel fulfilled. You're more than likely will be healthier. Your mind will be more clear. You're less susceptible to big diseases. That's like research that's been done in terms of like happiness and how that correlates with disease and things like that. So always keep pushing yourself to that journey, and just don't give up, really.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
Yeah, my favorite quote is also from that book. And the quote is, "Wherever your heart is, that is where you will find treasure." And that quote is dear to me because there's oftentimes a balance between really the logical and the pragmatic mind, and then more kind of like in your soul. And I separate the soul from the heart as well. So it's kind of like your mind, your gut / your soul, and your heart. And they all have to work together to be able to, to be able to make decisions that you want in life and in business. But when you really feel that fulfillment, and you really feel like, that kind of aura that, you're on your way, it's really when all three are aligned, but it's really led to like where your passion is, where your heart is in life. So that means so many things, right? That can be across the board.
Yes, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, the best place, to be honest, nowadays to reach me would be through LinkedIn. Simon Bogdanowicz, just my first and last name. I think that I'm the only one on LinkedIn with that name. And then from there, I'm going to having a new homepage, website created and stuff. So that'll just kind of take you from there. But I'm pretty good on keeping up on LinkedIn.
Perfect, man. Thanks again for jumping on.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me, Tyler. Appreciate it.
The The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.